Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel. And today's it's an interesting one, not one that we particularly want to talk about, but I think it's a fascinating conversation nonetheless, because we had a bit of a nasty one against Northampton on Saturday. It was a brutal game. About 15 minutes in, Ruben Colwill went down holding his ankle, and he looked in a lot of pain. Definitely gave us a bit of a sinking feeling. He tried to walk it off. He couldn't really get his boot on. Did try to continue, but he couldn't. Left the ground on crutches and in a boot. So, you know, you're hoping it's a precaution. You hope it's not the worst case scenario, but it could be a problem potentially in the short term, but potentially in the long term as well, as we wait for further news. Hopefully, like I said, it's an impact injury, it's precaution, it's nothing too long term. But the likelihood is that we will at least have to deal without Rubin for a week or two, at least. So, Cardiff City need a plan. Barry Murphy, I'm sure, is already going over such plans, but I thought we could have a conversation about potential options to replace Ruben Colwill in that kind of number 10 role, but it's also the off the ball stuff as well, the pressing, because he is the leader of the press. He's the trigger point in many ways, and he's covers the most ground, etc. So we're going to go through every realistic internal option in the first team and one from the academy as well, and look at the data, the eye test, the personality, and crucially whether they can replicate what Rubin brings to the team, maybe bring something of their own flair to it, which helps as well. But remember, under Barry Murphy, the press starts with the front two. We defend in a 4-4-2, sometimes a 4-2-4. Rubin is almost always the highest presser alongside Salic. So let's break it down. Let's look at it. First of all, we're going to start with, what does Rubin do? Why is he hard to replace? What does he bring to the team? Well, as I said, before we look at those alternatives, let's explain why is the case. So this season alone, he's had the most presses per 90 in the squad, the most high-intensity defensive actions in the front line, top 3 in progressive carries, top 2 in chances created. He's one of the few players who can kind of play that free role 10, but also press like a second striker, but then drop in as a third midfielder as well. He's 6'2", covers a lot of ground like a midfielder, and has shown genuine leadership qualities this year at times. You can't just drop another number 10 in there and expect them to do exactly what Rubin does. They're all going to bring their own feel, their own flair to it, but you do need someone who can take the ball on the half turn, can link up the play in the pockets of space, can press like an absolute beast, has the personality to want the ball in tight situations and want the ball when they're getting kicked and pushed and shoved around, but also fits BBM's passive move structure with lots of rotations. So let's look at the options. Number 1, I've got Amari Kellyman. He's the obvious one. He makes a lot of sense. His preferred position is a 10 rather than wide. The eye test tells you everything. He's smooth. He's elegant. He protects the ball very well, especially for someone so young. And when you look at his FB profile, it really does back it up. He's got high ball retention under pressure. He's got excellent progressive reception numbers. He loves to play between the lines. He's got intelligent movement. So technically, he may be the most natural number 10 profile we've got alongside Rubin. He certainly fits BBM's system in terms of close control, rotation, link-up play. He can play, sort of drop into midfield 3 and be the sort of tip of the triangle, if you like, or he can push up to be closer to the striker. When you look at the cons, though, off the ball, has he got it? So I don't think he's yet an aggressive presser. I think actually he will be as he gets older and he fills out a little bit. It's a little bit lightweight, but his numbers at Villa previously show a kind of lower defensive volume in the duels. He's not a natural counter presser, more of a sort of glide around, creative playmaker. But under Barry Murphy, you have seen his defensive actions improve. He does work hard. It's the physical side of it. He sometimes struggles. You saw that at Northampton. He got battered about a little bit and ended up coming off at half time. I don't think he's had a run of games recently, and I think you've seen glimpses of what he's capable of. He hasn't had that run of games where you can see that he's built chemistry with the likes of Yusuf Salic, but he does have that brilliant technical ability, and we might see the best of him in a more central area. stylistically, I think he's the technical choice. But does he do the off-the-ball stuff, the defensive stuff that Ruben brings? And if he doesn't, someone else does have to do that, pick up the slack. So it'll be interesting, but I think he'd be a really interesting choice. And I think he'd also bring his own flair to it. He's a very, very talented young man, and definitely not a worst option. Option number 2, Cian Ashford, another one whose most natural position played in the academy in the 21s as a number 10. This is where it gets interesting, because I think Cian is closest to Rubin in terms of work rate, intensity, and probably output as well. His pressing numbers from last season across the first team and the 21s is pretty high. It's 13.2 presses per 90 minutes, one of the highest defensive sprint counts in the squad. He's very aggressive in the transition, and he likes to drift into the sort of inside half spaces from wide. So he's naturally going to take up those spots from a more central position. He is fearless. He's got a little bit more experience at senior level than Omari Kellyman. And I would like to see him at some point get the opportunity to play in his more natural position. His ability to receive the ball on the half turn, drive at defenders in those little pockets, I think is very underrated, and he's improving every single game. He has looked better off the left this year, but definitely has the ability to play in the middle. He did it a little bit for Omar Risa towards the end of the season and did it very well. So he's definitely got the ability to do it. When you look at the cons, like I said, he's generally played as a wide player for the first team. He's played off the right, which I thought he looked quite good off the right last year, but this year he's looked much more settled off the left. He likes to drift in and cut into those little spaces anyway. Can he play through the centre for 90 minutes in a real big, tough physical game like a Saturday was? Until we see it, we don't know. I do think the one thing you cannot question with Cian Ashford is his relentless work rate. He will keep going and going and going. It doesn't matter, how many times he might lose the ball or he gets bumped off it or fouled or whatever. He will be brave and he will keep receiving the ball. It is his most natural position. You lose his wide to inside movement, which is really effective. You lose maybe some of his 1v1 threat off the wide areas, but he's definitely, his decision making with regards to final ball, shoot, pass, etc. is really good. And I think that could be, a tool that Cardiff could use in the more central area. Chris Willock. Now Willock, right, he is a technician. He's having his best run by far in a Cardiff City shirt. He's definitely the closest technically to Kellyman, but he's got way more championship experience. When you look at the pros, he's brilliant in tight spaces. He can go left or right. He's very good at finding the right way to pass. He's naturally creative. He looks more like a 10 who's playing wide, which is so common these days with these attackers. They're kind of like, they're all inside forwards really, but he does like operating just off the front man, and maybe having a bit of a free role could open up even more creativity from him. I think that there's definitely an argument that he's the guy, but his defensive effort is the one where you go, oh, I'm not sure. But actually last year, yes, I think you could question that. This year, his defensive efforts have been really good. He's been working back to help the fullbacks when he's wide. And even at the weekend, he came on and he pressed relentlessly. And I think people should give him a bit more credit for improving that side of his game this season. When you look at the cons, the reality is probably simple in that, yes, he's not Ruben's level of pressing. He's certainly not as physical and not as aggressive, but he is, not as fit, but he is good at carrying the ball. He is good at linking the play and looking for those little 1-2s. He's definitely got a shot on him. Can he be the creative outlook to just unlock a few little bits and pieces? Use of Salic or Callum Robinson? Possibly. Don't hate it. Can he be that heartbeat of the forward transitions for Cardiff City? I think he can. Whether he could do it week in, week out is something that I've probably questioned, but until you see it, you never know. He does look like a more natural number 10. Number 4, Callum Robinson. So Robbo, at his best, is absolutely capable of playing at number 10. He's intelligent. He does link the play pretty well. He understands timing better than anyone. He's got a real good disguised pass on him. Very good movement between the lines. But off the ball, I think, is where I question it. Because effectively, for me, if you're playing Callum in the 10, it feels like you're almost going 4-4-2. I don't think he presses as consistently as some of the others on this list. He can press, but not always. And I actually think he's much better when he's kind of the last man looking to get in behind, because his finishing is so good. When you look at the cons, I do think this season is no different to other seasons with him. He has a run of games where he scores and he looks excellent. Then he kind of doesn't score for a bit and he looks like he struggles a little bit. Then he finds a goal, he gets confidence and he's back to it. I'm not sure he's physically able to produce the amount of sprints that we require in this system from the number 10 over 90 minutes. But you might get a good hour out of him depending on the game. Personally, I prefer him a bit further up as an out-and-out striker, but he could definitely do the role. I'm not sure he's the right tactical fit for the role, though, at the moment. But, you know, who knows? He's a very clever player, and I think he could adapt if he wants to. Number 5, Alex Robertson. This is a fascinating one, because I'm on record as saying Alex Robertson's not a number 10. I don't think he's a number 10. I think he plays better with the game in front of him. But he is a monster in the press. If you look at last season's data, he's elite level defensive actions for a midfielder. Loves the duel, relentless energy, brilliant change of pace, can pass from behind like a terrier. He always looks for pass and move. He always looks to get the ball back. And when you've got someone who's so tidy and so crisp, so progressive with the ball, looking forward all the time, there's not the worst traits to have in a number 10. Is linking the play, looking for the ball back, and he always ups the tempo because he looks forward and he looks fast. Now this could be a very different version of this role, and maybe you go with something that we saw a bit earlier in the season. Really, it's kind of evolved as the season's gone on. To Rubin started the season as like a hybrid sort of 8/10. And then as the season's gone, he's become more and more like just an out-and-out 10 with the pivot behind him. Robertson, I think, could be more of that 8/10. Presses aggressively, arriving late in the box, but he gives you control for definite, really good tempo setter. But when you look at the cons, if you move him back to be like a hybrid 8/10, do you lose a bit of the creative chaos that Rubin or a number 10 brings? I don't think he's as natural in a tight space or with his back to goal. But if Brian Barry Murphy wants tempo and he wants control, I think Alex Robertson could be a definite option for it. If he wants fluidity, a bit of chaos, and like us pinned 5 against the back, maybe not the option. Interesting nonetheless, right? I'd be interested what you guys say for sure. And then number 6, I've got Joel Colwill. Joel's development over the last 18 months has been incredible. And when you look at the goal on the weekend, unbelievable finish, just natural boom from the corner. And he's got goals in him. He likes to carry the ball. And when you look at the pros, he's extremely press intelligent. He's one of the best tacklers in the attacking third. He loves the counter press. He is selfless with his movement. He's got no problem whatsoever creating space for others. He's definitely underrated passing ability. He's got a magnificent attitude. And like I said, he'll carry the ball. He's not afraid to have a shot. Has he got that like real creative spark that like a Willock or a Kellyman or Alex Robertson even or Rubin have got? I'm not sure. But that's more not sure because we haven't seen him that advanced in that sort of number 10. So it's definitely a question mark, but I think the way he took that chance on the weekend and the way we've seen him, he should have had a couple of penalties this season where he picked up the ball around the edge of the box. If you want a like for like in the pressing side of things and maybe a slightly different twist on the ball, Joel Colwill's not the worst idea to take over in that number 10 while his brother's out. He's not, like if you look at the cons, he's not a natural take it on the half turn, create a But if you want pressing, he's top tier. If you want creativity, maybe you lose a bit, but maybe he gives you something different with his tenacity and his ball carrying. Definite option for me. Number 7, so David Turnbull, he was the one who slotted in number 10 when Ruben went off. Much, I think, to the surprise of people. And I thought, first half, he struggled a little bit. Second half, I thought he did better. He did better, though, probably coincide with Alex Robertson and Chris Willock coming on and giving us a bit more tempo. And then he became the link between them. He might be the most natural passer in the squad. And if you look at the pros, and unfortunately some of these I've got to take back to his Celtic days, because at his time at Celtic, he had brilliant final ball. He could unlock deep blocks. He had exceptional long range shooting, set pieces, very, very calm in possession. He still is calm in possession. Unfortunately at Cardiff, we've seen a midfielder who constantly wants to go back, is more interested in recycling the ball. And obviously that's not a trait you want in number 10. You want the number 10 to take risks. You want the number 10 to set the tempo, to be aggressive and be creative. Now, if Cardiff are expecting to dominate possession, which we normally do, Turnbull can thrive as a tempo setting playmaker. For me though, if we're going to play David Turnbull, he's better deeper if we're going to play him. You look at the cons, his pressing intensity would be a massive issue. His defensive sprint numbers were very low at Celtic, and they remain pretty low at Cardiff. In BBM's system, generally speaking, if you don't sprint, you can't play number 10. So, but it's definitely an option. We saw that at the weekend. And then the last one, Troy Perrott, under 21, played a couple of EFL Trophy games, cup games. He is the wild card in this list, but look, the talent's real. He's a pressing machine. He can play between the lines and really enjoys it. He's a strong carrier of the ball. He's aggressive personality. He links up well. He's fearless when receiving it in those tight spaces. And he's been improving rapidly over the last 12 months under Darren Pearce. And he's done well for the first team in the Cups. So, yeah, why not give him the opportunity? When you look at the cons, of course, he's young, he's raw, he hasn't played a lot of senior football, hasn't played a lot of league football at all, if any, I don't think. And dropping him into a very pressurised environment in League One for Cardiff and asking him to replace the face of the BBM and the new regime is a big, big ask. Ability-wise, I don't doubt that he has it, but it's a big ask, and there's probably more experienced options you try first. But Brian Barry Murphy does love the youth players and the young players, and he likes to give them opportunities. So who knows? He might surprise us all. But rounding up, who fits the best? Like, if Ruben's out for a few weeks or he's long term, like, who replaces him? I think long term, if he was out long term, we might see a few different players replacing him. But if we talk in the short term, I think my top 3 kind of go like this. And I factored in the pressing, the link-up play, and the system. In no particular order this is either really, but the top 3 for me are Amari Kellyman, technically the best fit. Pressing, output, maybe a bit of a question, but ability-wise, definitely the best fit. And I'd find it really interesting to see him or the next option on the list in the number 10 position, where it's their more favoured position, they're more comfortable with it, and where they would like to play long term. So second place is Kean Ashford, like I said, preferred position. I would really like to see how he gets on with it, because I thought he did quite well under Omar Risa in a system which was nowhere near as cohesive as this one is. He's the closest intensity and energy wise to Rubin, probably a little less natural in terms of his creativity in one way, where he'll do something completely outrageous like Ruben can. But I also think his decision making maybe a little bit above Rubin's in terms of way to pass, when to pass, vision, stuff like that. And I think he could actually show that more from this position. So I'd be really interested to see it. And then the third sort of final option for me is Alex Robertson. My gut says with Robertson, I still think he's better as an 8. But the way he's come into the side recently, back from injury, and is looking to pass, move, and he always wants the ball back, I think that is something that the team could benefit from in that number 10 position. So I'd be willing to have a look at him doing that role now as opposed to when he did it last year. So last year I felt he was good at it, but he struggled when he had his back to goal. Whereas, you know, the pressing and the rest of it, the link up is pretty good. So I'd be interested, again, much like Ashford, to see him do it in a cohesive system that we've got now. My gut says that BBM's going to go with probably Kellyman. But if the game demands control or ball retention, pressing, then I would much rather see Alex Robertson in there than David Turnbull. And I would love to see Keane Ashford get a go. I wouldn't be against any of these really in the right circumstances. I think they all offer something different and they all offer their own twist on the number 10 role. It's just Brian Barry Murphy's going to have to find the right one who's going to get the best out of themselves in that role whilst also doing the best for the team. And ultimately that's what it's about. It's about the team. But let me know in the comments, who would you pick to replace Rubin if his injury is, you know, if he's out for a bit? Which would your be option? But as always, don't just chuck a name in there, yes or no. Give me context. Let's start a conversation. That's what we're about on the channel. Is we are talking Cardiff City 7 days a week. Tell your friends, spread the word, keep the faith. If you're not a member already, then become a member. We're going to have some giveaways coming up to Christmas. Thank you so much, as always. Make sure you tune in later on tonight as R&R Revelations is back with an all-new special guest, and it's none other than former Cardiff City defender, Mr. Matthew Conley. That'll be live this evening. So make sure you'll keep it locked, Cardiff City World. Spread the word, and I'll see you in a bit. Nice one. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.